Hello everyone and welcome back to the Deercast, episode 33. I feel like every time we start a podcast I'm blown away by how many we seem to have recorded now. And a massive well done to anyone who's listened to all 33. That is absolutely, that just baffles me. But today it's just Tom and I, I'm afraid. We thought we'd bring you a bit of an update on what we've been doing. We've got some exciting announcements to make about a little show that might be coming up in the future. Who knows? And yeah, lots of other exciting things I think to go over.
So apologies for anyone that's disappointed we don't have a guest, but we did ask you as the listeners what you wanted to hear and see more of on our various channels, and a few people did say they wanted to have more podcasts with just the two of us. So here we go.
We're very flattered.
Yeah, we are.
That you want to hear more from me, Tom.
I'm quite surprised, to be honest, because I thought we just talked gibberish most of the time, but there you go.
We do, but somehow someone wants to listen to it, so here we are.
So the last one we recorded was December, and I think that's where we revealed the identity of Bobby, and he announced plans about his 270.
Yeah. And anyone who hasn't already gone on to the YouTubes and watched the 2 episodes that are up.
I think there's 3.
Oh, there's 3 episodes, sorry.
There's us taking Bobby to buy it.
Yeah.
There's then Bobby zeroing it with you, and then you taking Bobby out to shoot his first fallow with it.
That's right, yeah, you're right, yeah. 3 episodes.
And since then, I mean, as we speak, Bobby is planning to take it to have it screw cut and get a moderator, isn't he?
He is. And there's been a mixed reception to the screw cutting.
Yes.
I have to say, I was not prepared for the amount of pushback in the comments about this. So, if for anyone who hasn't either listened to the last episode or watched any of the YouTube videos, Bobby has bought a rather smart-looking 270 Sauer 202 with, I think, grade 4 walnuts.
Is it 4 or 5? I think it was 5.
It might be 5, yeah.
It looks stunning.
It's a beautiful rifle that was owned by someone who... by a chap who sadly passed away and had it in a collection with some Purdy's. And I think, obviously it wasn't screw cut because it's barely been shot.
Yeah. We
went to the shop and if you haven't already watched the video, go and watch the video, but we basically scoped it and it was squeaky clean, almost like, barely had any rounds to it. So a very nice purchase, which he's very happy with. But it's a really stunning, classic looking stalking rifle, and I think people are taking great umbrage to him whacking a great big cow on the end. But he is going to look at putting a Frere and Devick mod on it, which I think is the right thing for it.
I was just about to say, I think I can understand people's caution in that if you put the wrong type of moderator on that rifle, like, no offence to those of you that have got a Wildcat, but I think if you put a Wildcat on there...
I've got a Wildcat.
I know, and they're good moderators from what I hear, but for a really nice grade 5, beautiful bolt action rifle like that, I don't think a Wildcat with a purple or red end to it would suit it. Whereas I feel like the really graceful lines of the Frere and Devick would just
Yeah, it needs a classic looking moderator. The problem is I think that the traditional hunting rifle goes back a long way in terms of its history, and the moderator only goes back about 10, 20 years. Yeah. So in terms of historical significance and all the rest of it, maybe they don't go together. But it's all well and good saying that, but actually we do live in the south of England. It is a 270, which is a chunky cartridge for down here at the best of times. If we were in Scotland, it would be a different story. But actually, having to shoot an unmoderated rifle, especially something as punchy as that, at big groups of fallow is just not really doable with us. And also, it does have an impact on your success rate, definitely.
I was just about to say, I think particularly for us in the Chiltern Valleys that we're in, sometimes with a moderated rifle, if you shoot it at a group, you can get away with getting another one because the shot rings out, or the echo of the shot rings out, and they can't really tell where it's come from.
Yeah.
Whereas when I first started stalking, I didn't use a moderator, and I never got a second shot at anything because the boom of the rifle was just enormous, and everything immediately knew where you were.
Exactly, and it does unlock for us in particular additional areas we can stalk because of how much quieter you are.
Yeah.
There are high seats that I genuinely wouldn't sit in if I didn't have a mod, because I'd be worried about people going, oh, someone's out stalking.
Yeah.
It's just for like, you don't want to be heard. Also, it's it's a horrendous rifle for developing something like a Twitch.
Yeah.
Which I could just see happening. But if it's got a nice big moderator on it, it's going to make such a difference.
You'd say it'd be more accurate, more consistent with it, I think.
Yeah.
More accurate with it, and you'll be able to see your bullet strike easier. I think it's a no-brainer.
Yeah. So I think the advantages do outweigh the disadvantages. But we take on board all comments.
Yeah.
And that has steered, I think, Bobby towards getting a rifle mod that is a bit more classic looking, maybe. Because the Freya and Devix, I don't know if anyone's looked at them recently, but they have shot up in value, well, in price.
Have they?
They're into the £400.
Is that for the titanium core ones?
I think that's the only one they sell now.
Wow.
I think that's their model. So I think that's £400 plus. When I bought mine, I think it was 300 something plus. I mean, it wasn't a titanium one, in fairness to it.
Yeah.
But yeah, they're serious money now.
Yeah.
But I mean, if you are going to have a moderator that lasts you your whole stalking career,
I was about to say the proof will be in the pudding in terms of how long these things last. Because £400 might be an absolute bargain if it does last you your whole stalking career. Like what else do you spend that on? Like, I mean, even sticks are now half that. Like £200 for a set of sticks, and they probably only last you, I don't know, 5 to 10 years, maybe.
Yeah.
Which, yeah.
And my Freya and Devic already is showing signs of wear and problems, and I don't even shoot that much through it. And that I bought brand new, I think 2 years ago. So I took it apart to clean it, as I do every 6 months, whatever. And I couldn't get, there's a cover that goes over the baffles. I literally could not get that off. It had been welded on. I probably should have been squirting it with WD-40 or whatever. But in pulling it basically, after a little while, it just basically cracked. And so I had to take it back to Rupert at RJ Blackwall, who very kindly replaced it for me with a new one. But the design of it, I think, is a bit flawed, of the old one anyway. And I haven't even shot any bullets through it.
Because the titanium one, you can't take apart.
No.
So I've no idea what the design of that one's like inside. My little Diddy one, which isn't titanium core, touch wood, I've not had any problems with, but I possibly don't shoot it as much.
You clean your moderator pretty much every time, though, don't you?
Well, I squirt some Napier Silent Save in it, which I do think makes a difference, because my old Houskin mod, when I would take that apart to clean it, you still get a build-up of carbon and all the rubbish and everything inside it.
Yeah.
But it almost, when you were taking it off, it almost came off in flakes, as if
like layers.
Yeah, like layers, which may just be the layers that it naturally built up inside.
Yeah.
But it came off, between each layer, it came off pretty easily, which I perhaps stupidly I put down to the Silent Save. That I was like, well, clearly the Silent Save is putting some sort of finish on whatever's in there that layers of carbon can't adhere to as easily.
Maybe I should get myself some of that.
Yeah.
Silent Save.
Silent Save.
Okay.
I could always clean my...
name.
Yeah.
That's just dreadful.
Does what it says on the
sat
tin.
in the marketing department and came up with Silent Save. That's like anusol. That's just dreadful.
So, I mean, maybe it's just a complete hocus pocus, and it's doing what it's not doing anything, but I'm imagining it in my mind. But I do feel like it has protected my mods.
There you go. Okay.
Yeah. So that's Bobby and his 270. What else has been going on since we last recorded? How's the season going for you?
Well, I feel like it's coming to I feel like it is closing up slowly. We haven't got that long left. What have we got? 6 weeks left
of
the doe season, which is probably when it gets into the bucks into spring. I kind of feel like they've had enough at that point. I've certainly had enough at that point. There are probably people out there who don't get a bit fed up, but I mean, I'm ready for a break by the end of March.
I think unless you know areas where you've got bachelor groups, April is a pretty demoralising month to stalk fallow in, because I find 9 times out of 10 you stalk into a group and it will just be does and you're like, brilliant, I've just wasted an entire morning trying to creep into a group that I now can't shoot any of them out of.
Yeah.
Last year I had quite, for some reason, more clearly defined territories than I do this year, in terms of there were very definitely like bachelor group areas, and I could go to those in April last year with kind of medium success and know that there'd be male groups. But this year it seems to be like, I don't know, it's complete chaos.
Really?
That I would not be able to go to certain places and be like, I know there'll be a buck or two there.
It's all been mixed up a bit.
Yeah.
Interesting. And it's also just been horrendously wet. Yeah. And just disgusting in every sense.
Yeah.
Weather-wise. So, yeah, I think that's had a big impact.
I don't know about you, and I can't remember if we mentioned it on the last podcast, but I've found so far carcass weights have been down as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like I don't know if that's just me, but I'm getting more and more sort of 26, 27 kilos.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Whereas last year I was pretty consistently sort of 29 kilos.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I'm seeing less deer. For anyone that's about to comment and be like, oh, that's because there's more of them, there's more competition, so they're worse body condition quality. I don't buy that, in that I'm seeing less deer, but the ones I see are smaller as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like it does, the two don't to me really make sense.
No, I agree. I mean, around us, I always find that we actually get lower than the average carcass weight anyway.
Yeah.
Because I've been other places I've shot fallow, like an average doe will be in the mid-30s, like prickets 40 plus, and I think my average last season was like 28. But I find there's been a lot more yearlings and lots of young groups around this year.
Yeah.
I'm not sure why. I haven't really seen many mature animals. That might be because my stalking ground has changed slightly in where I go. But yeah, that's been a bit of a pain because obviously game dealer and body weight and weights and killing out percentages and all that sort of thing.
It does make it a bit. Yeah. Well, I think it all adds up. In that, if you go out and you know you're shooting an animal that's 30, 40 kilos, you're getting 60 or 80 quid for it. Whereas you shoot something that's 25 kilos, you're getting 50 quid for it. Like,
it's also, I mean, this is probably not the right thing to say, but like if someone gave you like a 23 kilo fallow, you're going to look at it and you'll be like, well, I'm going to spend the same amount of time butchering it as I will any other deer, and I'm really not going to get very much off it. No.
You can see why, from a game dealer's perspective, they don't really want to take muntjac, for example.
Yeah.
In that, if you've taken up a hook in the chiller for a 7, 8, 9 kilo muntjac versus a 30, 40 kilo fallow, and like you say, it's going to take them the same amount of time to process, you can see why.
Yeah, absolutely. They're a bit of a specialist market, but I mean, arguably, they're the deer that we really need to be hitting hard. I think that muntjac are like the silent killer. Yeah. People bang on about fallow, and don't get me wrong, they are a problem, but like I think a large part of the reason we think that is because they're more visible and they're bigger physically, and they herd up in big groups and you see them. But it'd be really interesting to see if anyone's done any research on actual, a group of fallow and a similar group of muntjac and how much damage they do to, say, like young trees. Yeah. Because the muntjac, I feel like they're the constant pressure and they're constantly nibbling around. You never really see them. They're like a sort of ghost of the woodlands. I always think that they're worse for a woodland than a fallow deer. That might be completely wrong. Yeah.
If anyone out there is an ecologist or suitably qualified, please let us know. I think I probably agree with you in that the deer that I am consistently seeing this year that I don't feel has changed has been muntjac. Like roe, I'm sadly in the Chilterns probably seeing fewer of year on year. Yeah. Fallow, for some reason, they seem to be less than last year, but something weird's going on there that I don't know about. But muntjac, they're still there in exactly the same numbers, even though we shot quite a lot last year, I'd say.
And I think we are in for a serious muntjac problem in the future, because exactly that reason, people just aren't shooting them. Yeah. And then there's going to be a real problem in the future. I always see them in woodland. I've never seen a muntjac in the middle of an arable field. Have you?
No. I've seen them in like margins, but like creeping around in the bottom of a hedge, that type. But I've never seen them in, like, I don't know, in a standing crop.
They never want to go and like eat the tops off a field of wheat.
No.
Maybe they're too short. That'd be an obvious answer, wouldn't it, I suppose?
Yeah.
So yeah, it's been a bloody wet season, and I think probably what this season has told me anyway, particularly because I've taken on some new ground, is that I need something that is going to tackle the terrain a bit better, which probably leads us on to our next topic of conversation. Thomas has got some. Why don't you share your potential, soon to be secured news?
Well, I hope so. I hope this isn't a kind of isn't bad luck, and I'm not speaking too soon. But I was out doing my day job today, and I was chatting to someone, and he said, listen to your podcast, and I've got something you might like to see. And I'm always slightly nervous. Like, you sort of think, oh no, what now? Took me into a barn. Yeah, gets worse.
Okay.
And in there was parked up a Toyota Hilux, 2014 with 100,000 miles on the clock, but I must say in pretty good condition. Took it for a little test drive, and I think, I said I'd let them know tomorrow. We're recording this on a Thursday evening. I think subject to negotiating a price, I think I'll take it.
They sold. It's a good car. It's a very nice car. It's black.
Yeah.
It's got good tyres.
Yeah.
It's had a decent history.
Yeah.
I think we can share.
Yeah.
And the 2014, I think, is my favourite shape.
Yeah.
And it's got the bonnet scoop.
Yeah.
Which is really, it looks cool.
Yeah.
It's a good looking truck. I think it's a handsome truck. And I think it'll suit you very nicely. Double cab as well.
I think it's a handsome truck. Yeah, double cab. Harry's probably sick and tired of hearing me talk about this, but for the last probably 6 weeks, I have decided that it's time to definitely get a pickup, and I had been toying with the idea of getting rid of my normal day-to-day car and getting a sort of pretty well brand new pickup that would straddle both sides of my life, as in it would be a day-to-day car and a pickup. I think my fear with doing that is that I'd spend a lot of money on a pickup gas-guzzling truck that probably wouldn't be very good at commuting and doing a lot of running around, and I worry would depreciate like hell in I don't know, 5 years' time, the ban on the sale of diesel cars, new diesel and petrol cars comes in.
Mm-hmm.
So I worry that once that happens, everything really starts getting ratcheted up in terms of phasing out petrol and diesel cars. And if I've just bought a relatively new car that's only 5 years old by that point, I feel like it's going to depreciate pretty quickly. Whereas a Hilux that's already 10 years old, in 5 years' time, like, it's not going to have depreciated to the same value. I know this is probably such boring chat, but
no, I think it's a real conundrum for anyone who. Me and Tom have full-time day jobs that would require us to drive quite a lot, but also we love to go stalking, and it's a real conundrum because you're constantly in this thing of like, do I get one car to do it all, which isn't really a thing, and have like a slightly miserable existence, either driving to work or picking deer up, or do you have two vehicles, or do you have a quad bike and a vehicle? And it's just a constant sort of problem, unless you've got buckets of money to spend on two cars, in which case it's brilliant.
or you don't mind paying for something that does 30 miles to the gallon, and it's not inconceivable that I'll do a couple of 100 miles a week.
Yeah.
That's not inconceivable.
Yeah, and you don't want to do that in something with mud tyres, for instance.
No.
All terrain's probably all right. Mud tyres, definitely not. So yeah, it is a problem. But this is exciting news.
I think so.
Pending, all the relevant checks and all the rest of it.
Pending. I've fun enough, they've texted me now saying that they've got full kind of service history and they've done a fair bit of work to it, and they'll email it all across to me tomorrow. So
I think it's meant to be.
I'm hoping it's from a farmer local to me, so I'm kind of hoping that, touch wood, it all works out. And next time we record a podcast, I'll be telling you I've got a Hilux that hopefully I haven't spent a lot of money repairing.
Thomas spent, I think, the value of your car probably 3 times over
in the last 12 months
on the car.
Yeah.
Because of sort of various stalking related issues, or just general wear and tear.
I currently have a VW Tiguan.
Yeah.
Firstly, I don't think it lived a very kind life before it came to me. It was a London car, So I think it did lots of very short stop-start journeys. I don't think the previous owner was very kind to it either.
Mm-hmm.
It then came to me, who I think I freed it into the countryside, but I equally probably asked it to do more than it was designed to do.
Yeah.
And I think a culmination of all of that and the fact that it's a 2011 plate, so it's now 14 years old, has meant that the last 12, 18 months have been very expensive trying to keep it on the road.
It was a car that VW designed probably just to go to the shops and to drop off the old child and maybe drive up a leafy driveway in the Cotswolds like once a year, or maybe if it snowed ever. And you have literally treated it like a quad bike for the last 3 years.
For anyone that hasn't seen it, the back seats are permanently folded flat in it.
I think they're welded shut with blood.
Blood, yes.
It's quite a thing.
And I mean, it's probably a tick and cared paradise in the back, because it's probably nice and warm and cosy, and they're probably like burrowed into the seats. But yeah,
Nice.
So I mean, that's my exciting news. But you've come to a similar sort of 4-wheel drive type.
Yeah. Well, I'm always back and forthing, and I think as you are slightly in your head, and maybe there are lots of other people out there who feel the same way. But I think this winter has shown me that. I'm in the very fortunate position that I've got a normal car to drive around, as you've probably seen in Bobby's picking up of his gun.
So you just called your car a normal car? It is not a normal car.
Okay, I have a relatively normal car, but it is electrically powered.
That's not
Tom
normal.
loves to take the piss out of.
We couldn't even get to the gun shop and back.
Did we get back?
Yeah, we did, but what did
It
we
was
have
a
to
long
do?
way away. It was 2 hours each way.
I wouldn't describe that as a long way.
That's quite a long drive for anyone. I'll have you know.
Well, I feel like an old woman.
No,
when we arrived at the location, we had to try and charge it. When we then stopped halfway home, we tried to charge it twice. Ridiculous.
It's actually very good. There's probably people at home sat at home going, "What the fuck are you talking about?" Because electric cars are shit. But actually, having had it now for a couple of months, it's very, very nice.
Have you managed to charge it anywhere?
I
Successfully?
charge it at home every night. It's fine.
Apart from at home?
Yes, yeah.
Yeah, where?
That video is the only time, and I've charged it loads of times because I've been down to Devon and back quite a few times in it, and you have to charge. I have to charge it halfway. Yeah, it's a fairly short range electric car. There are longer range ones out there. I'm not a big advocate for electric cars, I'll hasten to add. And that was completely painless.
Okay.
There was no one there at the charging points. It was super easy. And then, honestly, I take Tom and my brother. I go, "Oh, don't worry, I'll drive you." Take them off to go and pick up Bobby's gun. Get the piss taken out of me. Every single charging station we go to either doesn't work or it was full of people.
Yeah.
It was an absolute nightmare. It was an electric nightmare.
I don't know if anyone's like me, but if you're ever like in the process of doing something and you've got a queue of people behind you, like I get quite flustered, and I'm quite impressed that you trying to charge that car didn't get more flustered, because as well as Bobby and I taking the piss on it, like on both occasions, I think in the service station there were people like hovering around waiting for you to finish unsuccessfully charging so that they could also unsuccessfully charge.
The sort of service station electric car charging thing is one of the worst things in the entire world. I'll say that. It is completely shit.
There was a woman asleep on the back seats of her Tesla next to us because she was having to wait that long for a car to charge.
There's no queuing base. There's no place to queue.
No.
There's no this is place 1 in the queue. You park here. There's none of that. You just have to basically have a fist fight with the person behind you.
I was about to say it's first come, first served. It's first come, served. No, but there is no secondary basis.
Yeah. So, you have to carry around some weaponry, basically, to threaten the other people in front of you. And say,
is that what cables are for? You just strangle the driver in front of you?
Garrot them all.
Yeah.
But no, I like the electric car. It cost me £8 to charge it from 0 to 100%, and that gives me 280 miles. You can't really argue with that. That is quite good. No benefit in kind tax if you've got a company car. That is very handy.
Yeah.
No car tax. You drive it into London. You can drive it into the city of London, which is quite rare.
And then
for free.
And then charge it.
No, I'll get there and back, just about, maybe.
Bollocks.
And it's very quick and it's very quiet, which is nice.
Yeah.
And it's a bit like a go-kart. It's very easy to drive.
I can say it was very, in fairness to it was very comfortable.
They are very comfy. Anyway, everyone's switched off. So I have that, and then I also have my old car, which is an old Subaru Forester, which I loved, but I did 150,000 miles in it by the time I got rid of it, or stopped using it at least. And I put some bigger tyres on that and used that as my dear wagon. But even that struggles at this time of year in the wet, so I think it's going to be quad bike time.
So you're going to get rid of the Subaru?
No, I think I'll keep it.
So you're going to have 3
Because, I mean, it doesn't owe me anything.
Yeah.
And it's... why would I... Someone will pay me like 500 quid for it. And I've got so many memories in that car. So I love it.
I'm going to bully you into this live on the podcast. What I really want to happen this summer is for us to spend a couple of days stripping that Subaru of anything unnecessary.
Yeah.
Raptor painting it, like Mike Robinson would.
Yeah.
And then adapting it to make it a full Deer vehicle.
How would you go about doing such a thing other than Raptor painting it, do you think?
I would like to fit a winch to the inside of it somehow, so that you just basically open the boot. We'll have removed the back seats. They're surplus to requirements.
You don't need to, it's flat. It's like a truck.
Remove them, then it's lighter. And that way then you won't struggle as much in the mud.
It's more the ground clearance, I think.
Yeah, exactly, so it'll be lighter.
Okay.
But again, that's another thing we should do. We should fit some fucking massive coil springs to it.
Yeah, maybe. I just think yeah, but there are certain places that it's just too muddy to take a car.
Yeah.
Like a quad is just gonna be the thing.
Yeah. So you're gonna get a quad.
So for 2 months of the year, I think you can justify it on the fact that like the 2 busiest stalking months of the year where you really want to be out, this basically being one of them.
Yeah.
I basically can't go to the main bit of my ground unless I just want to carry a deer up a hill for 45 minutes, which just isn't really practical. So I think it justifies itself on the basis of for 2 months of the year you can access all of that ground. And second hand, you can get a quad for like 3.5, 4 grand. Which isn't too bad, I don't think.
It's good going.
So that's my plan. That might change, but it's probably a next season sort of thing. I want to get one, get it running right, sort it out and all the rest of it over the summer probably, and then have it ready for next season. That's my plan. And then you'll have a truck at that point.
Yeah.
And exciting, we've obviously done the Bobby's Bits series. If Tom does get this truck, we'll bring you a series on. What are we gonna do to it, Thomas?
So there are a few bits of it. So it's the truck I'm looking at the moment is 10 years old. There are a couple of bits and pieces on the insides of interior wise that I would probably change. They probably need swapping out for newer versions. So steering wheel, like gearbox knob, all that kind of stuff. So probably an episode of kind of tidying up, I would say.
From 2 people who aren't necessarily very car savvy, should we say. It's going to be quite entertaining.
Yeah, I feel like it will. But there's also, for anyone that's ever seen a keeper's vehicle where they attach a spotlight to the roof that they can operate from the inside with a turning handle, there clearly was one of those fitted to it at some stage. Someone has since removed it.
It's got a built-in glory hole.
And it has got a built-in glory hole. That, and this is going to sound wrong, I'm going to fill that hole. And then paint it. So
it's going to go so badly.
It's going to go so badly wrong.
I just imagine you with fiberglass on the roof of your Hilux.
So I watched a video and it looks surprisingly easy. Basically, fill the hole from the underneath with toilet paper to give you enough of a solid thing to then put fiberglass.
Is this like that thing I see on the internet where people fill holes in walls with ramen?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. In fact, I might use ramen. And then I've got a tasty snack when I need it.
Yeah.
Then fiberglass over on the outside, wait for that to set, sand it down a little bit, and then touch up paint over the top.
This is going to go so badly.
Yeah, well, entertainment.
It will be entertaining.
So simple things like that. Probably tidy up the number plates and then fit a hard top back on the bed.
Okay, yeah.
Over the bed. Harry's desperate for me to leave it open, but personally, in what world is that acceptable? Driving around with 4 dead fallow deer in the back, open to the world.
Just get a I don't know what you call them, the covers. Get a cover, the one the ones that slide in, that retract, and then just cover it. You're fine. That'd be so much better. I hate the backs because I feel like if you've got an open truck bed, you can like stand in it to like lift stuff into it over the sides that you've got access in. You can drop stuff in from like if you ever need to like crane anything into the back, you can do that.
Crane anything in?
I don't know. If you want to like winch a deer out of the bed, you can't do that. Also, they're expensive, truck backs.
I was about to say, I mean, you are slightly selling me on it, because...
And you can get in with a fucking pressure washer.
Truck backs, they are so the cheapest one I've found here, oh fucking hell, this is excluding VAT, £1,444. Why does anyone on their website quote the price excluding VAT? I mean, come on,
Probably because they're selling it to businesses that are VAT registered, Thomas.
Yeah, but come on, just put the price including VAT so that us poor people know what we're letting.
Well, they know they're not going to sell it to us poor people, so.
So the only alternative, you are slightly selling me on this, I've got to admit. The only other alternative is one of the very industrial sort of IFA Williams aluminium cover top ones.
But as far as I'm aware,
very angry spec.
You don't have any sheepdog or any sheep.
No.
So I don't think you qualify for one of those.
No.
And if you are deciding if you will ever drive at any distance, I think that's probably...
Bloody hell. Even the covers on the top are £1,000. For another £700, I can get a cover.
But can you stand... If you had a cover, if you had a back on it, you couldn't stand in the bed and shoot rabbits using the... You know what I mean?
Yeah, I know what you mean.
Like a Taliban.
Yeah.
You couldn't basically be a Taliban. You could use that hole in the roof.
The glory hole. I could cut the glory hole bigger. Is that what you're saying?
No. In the glory hole, you could mount a...
machine gun.
Well, no, wait. You could mount a pole with a Spartan adapter on the top. Then you could put your rifles on it, use it as a sticks.
Yeah.
And you could stand on the bed and shoot from it. That would be good. Do you guys want to see that? I think
so either way, if I end up buying this truck tomorrow, it sounds as though there's going to be a few episodes of hilarity, probably, in terms of modification and alteration of it.
And see if we can get it stuck.
Yeah. I'm quite keen to put a winch of some description in the bed.
Yes.
Mainly
with
because,
a slide, with a sledge.
Yeah. Mainly because I want to see how long I can get the winch so that I can be even lazier and basically not drag deer as far and just like winch them back to the vehicle.
Right. Okay.
I don't know.
How big a winch are you thinking?
100 metres minimum.
Okay, right. It's going to be something.
Yeah.
It's going to be very slow as well.
Yeah.
We're going to be there all day. You'll be like, don't worry guys, I'm not actually expending any energy here.
So I think that's going to be an episode or two, and I think we'll have to do an episode of you getting your quad and trying to service it.
Service it, yeah.
Yeah.
I think this is going to be good. Can you fit a quad in the bed of a truck? Someone probably knows this.
You probably could without a top on it.
That's another good idea.
What are you thinking of ramping your quad into the back of my pickup?
You're already going to have a ramp for the deer, aren't you?
Yeah, but it's not going to be that industrial that you can take the weight of a quad bike and you on it.
What are you making out of? Is it going to be fiberglass?
Yeah, it's going to be the leftover fiberglass from my glory hole.
That makes sense. That's a sentence that no one's ever said before. Yeah, okay, that's fair enough. I think that with the tail down, I think you could fit a normal sized quad in a pickup.
Yeah.
I haven't seen anyone doing it though. Maybe there's a reason for that.
I think it's the practicality of getting it up there and getting it back out.
I've seen a lot of videos of Americans trying to do it and then driving through the back window of their pickup trucks.
They drive like massive, like twice as big pickups, don't they?
Yeah.
Like when they see our pickups, they laugh at them.
They call our normal pickup trucks. They're called mini trucks.
Yeah.
That's what they call them. Mini trucks. I mean, mental. So no, that's something we've been thinking about.
Well, it's kind of off the the idea of doing the mini-series on those is kind of off the back of the Bobby's Bits mini-series, isn't it? That ultimately we've had pretty good engagement on the YouTube channel with that series, and people have messaged and commented and got in touch to say, look, we've really enjoyed the bit of continuity from one video to the next, but also getting a chance to get to know us a bit more. Whereas possibly some of our videos in the past, it's been sort of welcome to the video, we talk about what we're going to talk about, and then we disappear.
Yeah.
Like you don't necessarily get to know us as well. So
I think it's nice to have a bit of narrative to something. And yeah. So yeah, I think that's going to be good. We will bring you some more content on that in due course. I feel like pickups and quads are something we don't really know very much about, but people in the deer stalking world feel very strongly about. So I feel like we may, people might have some comments to make about it.
Yes.
But we welcome all feedback.
Yeah, I mean, and when I inevitably break the pickup trying to repair it or improve it, then
people will be like, "We told you we were going to do that."
Yeah, or maybe they can then help me fix it.
Yeah. Who knows? Probably not.
Yeah.
But,
Probably, yeah.
people
Most of
laugh
you will
at
probably be unsupportive, but there we go.
Nice.
I should probably make another confession whilst we're on the subject of taking the piss out of me.
Yeah.
So I was in New Zealand recently.
Yes.
And whilst out there, I made a purchase that has been somewhat controversial.
Oh.
So the amazing thing about New Zealand, one of the amazing things about New Zealand is basically in every single town, they have a shop dedicated to killing things.
Yes, I can imagine that.
They've got amazing sort of like chain of shops out there, hunting, fishing, NZ. And
I love that. It does what it says on the tin, doesn't it?
Yeah. And literally, and it's just so accepted over there that hunting and shooting and fishing are just part of day-to-day life, that you just walk in and they're like, want to buy a gun?
Yeah. Here you go.
But it's not, it doesn't have that sort of like crude Americanness. It's quite,
Is it like ammunition on the shelves to the job?
Locked shelves.
Okay.
Yeah. Right. Like probably more English-like in the sense that it's clearly more well regulated.
Yeah.
But it's just much more widely accepted.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah.
Does that mean you could go into one of these shops and you'd have every brand of rifle in there? Is it like that, or is it more like here's 25,000 pairs of socks kind of thing?
No. What I would say, and I think this applies to all of like their clothing, guns, optics, everything, is I think because New Zealand is such a long way from anywhere. I think the shipping costs of some things clearly like kill some products, and say only certain products seem to make it there. So looking around, scope-wise, like Leupold was clearly the absolute favourite.
Interesting.
Burris scopes and...
Burris?
Yeah.
Wow. That's a blast from the past. I haven't heard of Burris in ages.
I saw a couple of Swarovskis and a couple of Leicas.
Okay.
But I think basically the Leica and the Swarovski ones were clearly like sort of almost like the connoisseur's choice, but the everyday choice was clearly the Leupold, like quite strongly.
Really? So quite similar to America in that sense.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then rifle-wise, Tikka and Seiko's are
dominate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Seem to dominate.
Yeah.
And I'd say next, I don't think I saw a single wooden stock rifle over there. Like they go in big for synthetic stock, stainless barrel. Yeah.
Nice. More of a tool than a thing of beauty to look at and take out once a year. Yeah. Okay.
Well, I was chatting to someone in one of the shops, and he was like, "Look, most of our hunting is on either on the South Island or in like remote parts of New Zealand, where we spend a day hiking in, we then camp out, we then go and shoot something, we then might spend a day camping, and then we come back. So like the rifle is something that they're carrying around for potentially up to 4 days. So they want it to be light. It's not going to spend the day in a gun safe or a slip or anything like that. So like it needs to be able to, if it's going to rain, it needs to be able to put up with the elements.
Yeah, makes sense.
Yeah.
Interesting. Okay. And in terms of gear, things like Swazi, quite a lot of that kind of thing.
Yes. Swazi, Swan Dry, Hunter's Element, Hunt Tech. There seems to be, from what I can see, like quite a bit of a division almost. Like you either buy the kind of soft shell, full camo, like high tech hunting clothing, like suits.
The sort of Kuyu style stuff.
That sort of style stuff.
Yeah.
Or you go for the more natural, perhaps more old fashioned stuff. Cotton, wool, like sort of what's the word? Like checked clothing.
Okay, yeah.
There's quite a clear shift.
Right.
Yeah.
Are they moving one way or the other from the more cottony stuff to the more shelly stuff?
I don't really know. I watched a few hunting programs whilst we were out there, and everyone seemed to be wearing the kind of new stuff.
Yeah.
Whether that's just because they were all sponsored by them, I don't know. But yeah. But they do and the item that controversially I bought was a wool Swan Dry smock, which does seem to be a bit of a staple out there.
Oh really?
Yeah. So every one of the shops I went into, they had a good selection of them for sale.
Wow.
My personal rationale, I feel like I'm on trial here, for buying it, was basically December, January mornings, going out after fallow and just being fucking cold.
Yeah.
And this big, thick wool smock, I'm hoping is going to solve that.
Yeah. Low tech.
Low tech. Nothing to go wrong on it.
No. Not even a zip to go wrong on it.
I mean, there are no features.
Tom's wife, also confusingly called Harry, calls Tom Robin Hood in this particular item of clothing. And if you see a photo of it, you'll see why. It has, instead of it's like a quarter zip, isn't it?
Yes.
But it doesn't have a zip. It's got like a sort of lacy little number. It looks like a corset or something.
It's got, I don't know why they've done it, but I mean, maybe it is because there's literally nothing to go wrong. But basically someone has got a shoelace and threaded it through some eyelets, and that's how, if you wanted to, you tie up the collar. That's
the only thing I can't get behind that particularly.
It's controversial.
I want to see it all zipped up in vertical.
Maybe I'll do a little show later with my glory hole. And I accept this item of clothing is not a very fashionable item, but it is very boringly practical.
Nice. Okay.
So
will you return after having worn it for a season and give us your honest views on that?
I can tell you now what I think my issues with it will be. Is that one, because it is wool, if it gets really wet, it's not going to be waterproof and it will get really heavy.
True.
If you splash blood all over it, you're going to have to, it's going to be a bit of an issue to wash off.
Yeah, washing it is going to be a whole washing machine job.
I think it's going to be a once a year in the summer, douse it in a tub and then hang it outside to dry job.
For 6 days.
So that's those are the disadvantages to it, and it's perhaps not that fashionable.
No.
The advantages to it, there is literally nothing to go wrong on it.
Yeah.
It was incredibly cheap. It was £100.
Yeah.
You can get them over here for about 150 or 160 from Bushwear. And then also the other advantage to me, very warm, and because it's wool, it does seem to be very good at regulating temperature. As in, you can stay warm, but you don't get sweaty.
Yes. Yeah. Sort of wicking.
Yeah.
It's cotton, or is it wool? It is wool.
Yeah.
Wow.
100% wool.
God, that is quite good. So it should have some waterproof qualities to it as well.
It should do, but I imagine it's like, say you were stood out in an absolute torrential tsunami.
Sure, but it's quite thick.
Yeah.
You'd be there for a little while before you got
away.
I
think you'd be a little while.
You'd be very heavy at the end of it. You wouldn't be able to walk home.
No. You'd probably drown on the floor because it would weigh you down.
You'd probably take it off, chuck it on the floor because it was weighing you down, and then you'd probably just never see it again.
Yeah, burn it. Carry on. Get another one.
Yeah.
So that's my controversial purchase.
Yeah. But I mean, I think if the Aussies wear them, that's a pretty good test because they've got they do some pretty brutal stalking, don't they, out there? Like you say, like the stalking we do here is not anything like what they're doing.
No.
Like you watch some of these guys on YouTube, holy shit. They're shooting a deer at 700 yards across a valley. They're spending a whole day extracting it, like, it's a different gravy over there. So yeah, if the kit can stand up to that sort of thing, then who are we to say otherwise? But no, that's okay. That's exciting.
Yeah.
And then shall we tell the boys and girls a little bit about what we've got coming up in terms of maybe a little show that we like to go to, focused on deer stalking?
Our favourite time of year, and we've even booked our luxury accommodation for it, haven't we?
Yeah. This is our annual Staffordshire pilgrimage.
Yes. So we are going to the Stalking Show again, and I think we announced it in our last podcast. Sorry, my chair's squeaking. We are kindly being hosted on the Davana Hunting Tom's Target stand.
Yep.
We're going to have Bobby's Box there again. We are running a competition, which I don't know if any of you saw on Instagram. We announced what some of the prizes are.
Now, buckle in, everyone, okay? This is quite a roster.
I mean, I've been blown away by the generosity of
unbelievable.
all of our sponsors.
I mean, I'm quite annoyed that I actually can't. Can I enter it? Can we enter it?
I think if we wear disguises, we could try and con each other into giving us a ticket, which we do need to explain to people how they can enter. But the prizes so far, because we have been potentially promised more. We've got one of the brand new models of the Harkila version 2 binocular harness, complete with both of the accessory pouches. So that's the
already that's a hell of a prize.
Yeah.
Because that's a seriously good bit of kit.
Yeah.
You're telling me there's more than that?
Oh yeah.
Okay, well, bloody hell.
We then have, very kindly from Game Larder by Tarrant Refrigeration, a burger press and a selection of spice mixes for making your own burgers with.
They're very good.
They're good.
I've got one of those.
We then have a folding gambrel from Davana Hunting.
Nice.
A Davana Hunting Target Hero. Zero
Hero, yeah.
Which is
also got very good.
Yeah, amazing. It's one of those, it basically spikes in the ground, it's got 2 clamps on it, you put a board in with your target on, screw the clamps closed, and away you go. You've got a shooting range set up. We then have a 2-man lean-to high seat.
Which we have reviewed on our YouTube channel, along with the Zero Hero, actually.
Yes.
And they are, in my opinion, the best high seat out there on the market. Very, very nice. I think that's a hell of a prize.
It gets better.
Oh my god.
I've got 2 more prizes for you.
Oh my god.
So one of them is a Tom's Target reactive muntjac target.
Stop.
Yeah.
It's got one of the little things that you shoot in the middle of it.
Yeah.
No.
And a Rodo one as well.
You have both?
Yeah.
Bloody hell. And you can shoot it out of your high seat?
Yeah. And then make yourself some burgers afterwards.
I mean, that's ridiculous. That's got to be easily over £1,000 worth of gear.
Oh, and the rest.
And the rest, actually.
And basically, all you have to do is come to the Davana Hunting Tom's Target stand, find Harry or I, and ask for a ticket to enter.
As simple as that.
If you want to increase your chances, you need to be able to show us that you follow us and Davana Hunting and Tom's Targets on Instagram, and then we will double your chances of winning. We will give you 2 tickets.
And that will take you the best part of 20 seconds to do.
Yeah.
That's literally all you got to do. You haven't got to do any posting. You just got to come and see us.
Yeah.
So
that's it.
Come to the Stalking Show.
Yeah. I mean, personally, if I wasn't going to the Stalking Show already, I would go purely for a chance to win one of those prizes.
I think it's probably better than the Stalking Show's competition prizes.
Yeah.
That's ridiculous. And there may be other things to add as well. Stay tuned.
Yeah.
We're doing our best for you. So that, I think, is our main bit of news. Keep tuned on to the Instagram, where all of our news sort of emanates from. And we are very excited for it this year.
We are. We booked our luxury accommodation. So Harry and I are both... Would you describe us as a bit stingy?
Yeah, probably.
Yeah. But we were.
We did the first year we did was it a Premier Inn or a Travel Lodge? I think it was a Travel Lodge.
Was that the first year?
Yeah.
No. We stayed somewhere because the Travel Lodge was Travel Lodge was not last year, the year before, wasn't it?
Oh, that was the second.
So that was
year.
second
Okay,
year.
Yeah.
I can't remember where we stayed first year, but second year we got a really shit Travel Lodge.
It was literally like 50 quid.
Yeah, they gave us breakfast in a brown paper bag as we checked in the night before.
Yeah.
Then last year we played an absolute blinder and got some discount twin room with an ensuite bathroom and in like a 5-star hotel.
Palatial it was.
With like a gourmet buffet breakfast.
Yeah.
And this year we were like, well...
And it wasn't expensive either. It was last year, I don't know how I managed it, but it was literally like 100 quid.
Yeah.
This year we have spent a bit more money on it, but
So we go back to the same place because we thought, you know what, treat yourself.
Treat yourself. But we're not going to reveal the location because we obviously don't want to be mobbed by fans.
We're going to be mobbed by people who hate my smog.
Yeah.
So that's very exciting. I'm starting to get quite excited for the show actually.
Yeah.
All this talk of like organising competition, prizes, all the rest of it.
I think one of the problems with the show, I'm not saying there's lots of problems with the show, but a problem I have with the show is that it comes at the wrong time of year for me.
Why?
Because it's the end of the season.
Yeah.
So and at that point, like, it doesn't get me. Like, I've already done all my stalking. Do you know what I mean? If it was in like the spring,
yeah, I see what you mean.
I'd be like, oh god, I'm going to get this and this, and I'm going to try it all out this season. If I go and get something, I might only have another couple of weeks to try it out.
Yeah.
And then I've got to hang it all up for the summer, and I forgot about it over.
On the flip side, it's quite useful for the stuff that has broken, worn out, or you've had enough of, or run out of. Like,
yeah, true.
I mean, I'm going to curse myself here. I've run out of primers, and I can't be asked to drive hours to find somewhere that's got them. So I'm just going to wait till I get to the Stalking Show and be like, right, who's got me some primers?
You do that every year. You do a little primer run to the Stalking Show.
I did a couple of years ago, and I think that's the last time I bought primers.
Oh, okay, fair
yeah.
enough. So we are lucky that we don't live in America.
Yeah.
Because you can't buy primers over there for love nor money. Very hard. So anyway, yeah, that's gonna be great. Come and say hello. We're not going to be on the stand all day, I don't think. So no. one of us will be, or Tom's targets will be. Not all day for both days, but we'll probably put some further info up.
Yeah. Should we talk about the slightly controversial video that almost broke our YouTube channel?
Go on.
So, I mean, I never anticipated it would get the response it did, but I put a video up about the HSE consultation on lead ammunition. It's been out for a month, and it's had 18,000 views.
Unbelievable.
Maybe it was because it had a slightly clickbaity title, which was the end of the 243 ? But it's gained some attention, let's just say.
Yeah. Well, I think it's something that is very controversial and a lot of people feel very strongly about.
Yeah.
So, Tom, would you, for my benefit and everyone else's, just summarise...
You mean you haven't watched the video, Harry?
That 1,000-page document for us?
Yeah. So, I mean, and this is very, very simplistic. Basically, HSE... And I should say, this is just their thoughts on the subject, and they've put forward recommendations. It's now up to government to decide whether they want to adopt or take forward those recommendations. So as in, it's not, unlike what the title of the video suggests, it's not like, right, we have made a ruling, that's it, we're done.
Yeah.
Basically, they've come to a few conclusions, one of which is that lead is potentially dangerous to mainly young children, elderly people, and expectant mothers.
Yeah.
And they've said that lead, like, no ifs, no buts, it is, as a substance, it is dangerous to those people. You cannot fully protect against that risk in animals that have been shot with lead, as in, there is no way of guaranteeing, if you went out and shot a rhodo, that some of your lead bullet wouldn't end up in the human food chain.
Mm-hmm.
Like, we can debate the likelihood of it, but what they're saying, from what I can understand, is that it might be a low likelihood, but you can't make it 0%.
Yeah.
What they've therefore said is they think for those reasons, and for another reason, which is that there are alternatives out there to lead, that they feel it should be banned in certain circumstances for certain types of shooter and certain types of gun.
Yeah.
What they have said is that for anything smaller than a 243 and for air guns, you should be able to carry on using lead because there isn't a suitable alternative. But for anything bigger than a 243 from a rifle perspective, it should be banned, and there should be a phased period over which it stops being sold, but you can use up existing stocks. But then after that point, you can't use it. I think the slightly sad thing to my mind that comes out through the proposal is that the reason they're suggesting this outright complete ban on it from a rifle perspective is because they don't feel they can trust the shooting community to abide by the rules. If they said, we'll let you have lead and non-lead still available to purchase, but you can only use the non-lead stuff for target shooting. And the reason they cite for that is that in places of the UK where it's currently illegal to use lead shot, they are still finding that people are using lead shot. So they've said that on areas of the foreshore, for example, or over triple SIs, you're not supposed to be using lead shot, but people still are. So if you're not supposed to be using it there now, like, why would you suddenly stop using it in your 308 when we ban it?
Mm-hmm. And is that the same for pheasants and partridge and pigeons, shotgun basically?
Pretty well, yeah.
Really.
There are certain like exemptions and rules and regulations if you're like an Olympic shooter or if you're at a certain rifle range or playground where they don't think they can make it work and all that sort of type of stuff. But ultimately, long term, to me, reading it kind of felt like the writing's on the wall here. Mm-hmm. We've got to find something else.
Yeah. But the thing to emphasise really is that it is only an HSE report.
Yes.
That advises the government. You know, the government have a lot on their plate at the minute.
Yeah.
You know, the chances of them turning around this year and saying we're going to implement it aren't, I don't think, particularly high.
No.
The speed at which these sort of things happen anyway. I don't think you should go out and stockpile.
No. And two things that people have said to me is the first one is the industry. Government may not do anything about it because they may feel that the industry is naturally heading in that direction anyway. As in, if you go into most gun shops now, I think, and look at the selection of bullets, more and more are becoming lead-free, naturally anyway. And so the government may just accept, well, actually, more people are moving that direction. We'll just leave it to the industry to naturally happen.
Yeah.
The other thing is there are some countries who've banned lead shot, like some of the Scandinavian countries, and they're now reversing that ban because they're finding, particularly in shotgun ammunition, it doesn't work as well, or as humanely or ethically. And so our government may take stock of that and say, well, actually, we'll let everyone else piss around with it first, and then we'll come to it once a solid conclusion's been made.
I think the other thing that is a genuine point is the cost, at the moment at least, of copper ammunition. And you know, as we saw in the video we did it with Bobby's 270, for a box of 270 ammunition was 60 quid.
Yeah.
So, maybe it's more than that, maybe it's more like 70.
Yeah, I think it was.
And actually that's you know, to impose a kind of almost a doubling of the cost of a pretty major you know, overhead of shooting deer or any other, you know, game, ground game, is a pretty major step to take. So I hope the government will kind of take stock of that, whether they are able to make some interventions into the market or, you know, phase it out over a longer period of time so the market has time to adjust. I don't know, but you know, that I think is something that is going to have to change.
Yeah. I agree, and it comes at a time when they're asking people to shoot more deer.
Yeah.
So the two, to my mind, can't really go hand in hand in terms of you can't say, right, everyone please go out and shoot loads more deer, but by the way, we're going to bring in legislation that makes it more expensive for you to do that. Yeah.
It's a very difficult one, isn't it?
Yeah.
But I mean, I think the core of the logic is hard to argue with. And a lot of people will say, well, you know, most game dealers are only taking headshot carcasses anyway, and yes, that is true, but they also will take a lot of Cheshire carcasses because that is the nature of the beast and you can't get around that. And therefore you are going to get led into the food chain, and then there's the whole argument of, best practice says not to head shoot, but game dealers are asking people to head shoot, so can the government really side with saying, can the government advocate for head shooting? No. So, that's another aspect to it.
I think the argument they also use particularly in some places in Canada and America, is that even if you exclude the possibility of the lead ending up in the human food chain, it will at some point end up or there's a chance it will end up in the animal food chain.
Mm-hmm.
So if let's say we go out and shoot a fallow doe tomorrow, chest shoot it, bullet for some reason ends up in the eviscera.
Yeah.
We eviscerate that animal, chuck it under a hedge, fox comes along and eats that, it then has eaten a lead bullet, etc. Like the possibility of where that bullet might end up within the wider world, goes on.
It does, yeah. And I mean, we've done some testing on our YouTube channel about copper versus lead shot, and we've shot quite a few lead bullets into ballistic gel, and the lead does go everywhere. If you chest shoot a fallow deer and then use its shoulders, there's a good chance there's going to be some copper in there. Some lead in there. And it is a known poison, effectively.
Well, I think, maybe this will get us absolutely shouted off the air, Harry, but for the last, 5 years maybe, we've been using, me pretty well exclusively, you almost exclusively to some extent. We've been using non-lead bullets, and yes, you might, with some bullets in some circumstances on some species, you might not get the exact result you're after. But by and large, I wouldn't say I'm disappointed with the performance of non-lead isn't stopping me from shooting deer. I'm not ending up with thousands of deer, like runners, or poorly shot deer.
And it may well be that the Scottish government have a different interpretation of it than the English government, because I think you're right. I think for the shooting that we're doing in the lowlands, I don't think there is a risk that you are causing, that it is less humane, but there maybe is an argument for the Scottish stalker who's doing bigger deer at longer ranges that actually, that does change things quite significantly.
I think on that, and this was something Paul Hill spoke to us quite a lot about, and who we have actually got coming on the podcast again. I think he'll probably be our next episode. I think it was him that said, quite rightly, with non-lead, we all need to think much more carefully about the calibre we're using, but also the bullet we're using. I think with lead, we were probably quite lucky that you could pick up any deer legal calibre and pretty well any bullet in that calibre, and it would work and it would kill things. I don't think the same is true of non-lead, and I don't think you can necessarily have one bullet for everything. And I think you and I both experienced it, that with our non-lead stuff, what might work really well on fallow for us down here in the lowlands when we've then gone up to Scotland hasn't been as good. But we are trying to kill, like you say, trying to kill an entirely different animal at different distances.
And it just, the technology hasn't had the time to develop that lead has, because lead bullets have been used by the vast majority of hunters now for decades, and just lead hasn't had that, and we see that in the vast differences between the different main types of bullets that are out there at the minute. And I don't think the market's really, it probably is now starting to settle on one being the sort of primary better of all of them, but that will improve, won't it, with time. But it'd be very interesting to see what the government react to that, if anything.
So that's probably a relatively good place to leave it, with a bit of a sneak peek that our next guest will be Paul. Chatting to him, we'll see if he's got any sort of more further opinions on the HSE consultation. But I think that one of the main topics of conversation with Paul is possibly what we are seeing in terms of fallow populations and movements and population dynamics, because the three of us have had some conversations, haven't we, that things seem to be changing or different to previous seasons, and might just be quite easy to kind of it might be quite interesting to kind of tease out some of those ideas.
Definitely. Looking forward to it.
Yeah.
Well, thank you very much, everyone, again for listening. Please make sure you subscribe to the podcast, and look forward to joining you on the next one.